Are we live? I think we're live. Hello, how's it going? Thanks for joining. Welcome back to another Pushing Film live stream. And good morning if you're here in Melbourne or Australia with me. If you're not, let me know where you're watching from. This stream is going to be a little update stream, just talking about some new and exciting gear that I've gotten recently, just a few little things I want to share with you guys, and then also to do a film scanning Q&A, because I recently put out a video about film scanning, more specifically about light sources when it comes to DIY film scanning. So I thought I would take a few questions, because I've been getting quite a few questions via like Instagram and the YouTube comments and stuff like that ever since putting out that video, even more so than usual. So I thought, hey, why not incorporate that into the next live stream, answer a few questions in case anyone has anything specific that requires discussion. But yeah, thanks for joining, guys. I'm seeing a few people in the comments already. And it's kind of been a little while since I've done a live stream. I mean, I did one about a week or two ago, but I haven't been as consistent with them, so it's good to be back. And I tried to do it at a time that was kind of compatible with a lot of time zones, because it's 8:45 a.m. in the morning here. Dennis Peterson, good to see you again. All the best from Iceland. I'm not going to try and pronounce the... All right, let's try it. Reykjavik, maybe. Let me know if that was close. Dylan, thanks for joining. And someone from South Carolina, awesome, thank you. So just to get straight into some of the new gear, and if you are watching this later on, like you're not here live and you're mainly just here for the film scanning Q&A, you can always just skip ahead to, I guess, later on in the video to find that part, because I'm going to just start off with some of the updates and some of the new stuff I got recently, just to kind of share that with some of you guys. But if you're interested in that, one of the biggest purchases I made recently was this new camera. It's not a film camera, it's a digital camera. It's a X700V. So I had been talking about getting one of these for a while and been thinking about it ever since getting the X Pro from Fuji. Not that I bought it, I borrowed it from Fuji, but I tried it out, did a video on it, and compared it to the film shooting experience. And although I really liked that camera, I didn't find that I would be willing to invest in a whole new system with lenses, whereas this has a built-in lens and it's the focal length that I pretty much always use on the street. And I wanted something small and compact for some upcoming travel that I'm doing, because I want to do some travel and I want to film some decent video and B-roll and talking head stuff with a small and compact camera that does good quality 25 and 50p, 4K and 1080 and so on. And this actually is really decent for that. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to share some of it on the channel. I might do another video similar to the X Pro one where I compare it to the film shooting experience. Because if you don't already know, I normally shoot a lot of street and I do it almost all on the Leica MA on film. However, film is getting expensive and I'm shooting a whole series on film that I'm currently still shooting, and that added to my other street photography that I do for fun and for, you know, things besides the series. It gets expensive, as I'm sure you guys know. Hey, Donovan. Is focus slightly off? Someone's asking. It might be. Face tracking seems to be working. It just looks a bit soft because it's the 28mm 1.8 I'm using. Anyway, I think it's okay in terms of the stream. But because it costs a lot to continue to shoot the amount I do on street on film only, I just wanted something to offset some of those costs. I'm not obviously moving to digital completely anytime soon. I love shooting film too much, and this already, it doesn't match the experience of shooting film. I knew it wouldn't, but it's really more to offset costs and to serve as a tool for travel, like I mentioned, for creating some content when I go traveling, because I don't want to take my 5D Mark IV and stuff like that. So yeah, if anyone has anything they want to see on the channel from a standpoint of using the X100 in comparison to, say, film on the street, let me know, because I could approach it like I did with the X Pro video, take a X100 and a film camera out in the street, shoot both, compare the shots, see which ones, you know, you guys like better or what I enjoyed the experience of more. I know it's probably going to be film, but it could be fun. Let me know what you would like to see in something like that. So Dylan saying you love the X100. The X100S started me down the path of film photography. Yeah, that's interesting, and just really got me into photography. It's cool how the Fujifilm cameras actually got people into actual film, which they continue to discontinue. How ironic. Gabrielle, hey, from Mexico, cool. New channel pushing digital. Not quite, Donovan. But on that note, I actually did start a new channel so that I can talk about things that aren't related to film at all. And that is just under my name. It's a personal channel. And if anyone is interested, I actually put up the first video on that just overnight. So if you want to check out the channel, if you want to go see what I'm doing over there, I don't really know what I'm doing over there per se, but this video that I put out will introduce the channel and my idea for it. It's basically just somewhere where I can talk about things that aren't related to film at all. Like if I just do a street photography video on digital, or if I just talk about making some kind of food or coffee or whatever it is, I can put that on that channel just so I have an outlet for that, because obviously I don't want to make this channel unrelated to film whatsoever. Even if I talk about a digital comparison to film or something like that, this channel will remain pushing film. So if you're interested in my personal channel, you can check that out. Cool. Also, I was going to ask if anyone has been looking at any photo books. What photo books are any of you guys looking at lately? I was thinking to share one soon, so I'm going to do another photo book sharing live stream, but I'm always curious what photo books you guys are checking out and what you'd recommend. Hello. What presets will you use on the RAW to match your film look? Good question, Scott. I've only had the camera for 2 weeks and I've been experimenting with the RAW files, and I did the same in my experience with the X Pro 3. I've played around with Fuji cameras plenty of times before. I even remember borrowing the first X-T1 and messing around with that. I play with Sarah's Fuji X-T3 sometimes, but I'm still not too familiar with the RAW files and how they handle. But I've already shot a lot on the X100, and what I'm starting to do is try and develop my own formula or preset within Lightroom that I can put on the file as a starting point, and then maybe make only minor tweaks to it afterwards. And if you're wondering, no, I'm not planning on selling the preset. I think, you know, because there's so much variation in the way people shoot and the light and all the conditions, I'm making it for myself just so I have a few different presets. And because there's so much variation, you might need one for nighttime, one for daytime, one if you shoot underexposed, one if you shoot overexposed. Using really generic presets is never a one hit solution sort of thing. So sure, I mean, if I ever shared it, I would do it for free. I'm not planning on selling presets, but I am making my own presets for the Fuji files that I shoot on the street. So I hope that makes sense. Hey Asher, how's it going, man? Welcome to the cult. Yeah. Jokes aside, I started with the original. Nice. Yeah. I mean, they're great cameras. I played with them before. I had used my friend's X100V a while ago, and it was one of the reasons I was so, you know, easily able to just get one of these and be comfortable using it. I have to get you on the Fuji Love Conversations now that you shoot Fujifilm. What is that? Is that a forum? Just got street from Phil Penman. Okay, cool. Yeah. Recently picked up Helmut Newton's book. I think he's coming to Melbourne, actually. He's from Melbourne, if anyone wasn't aware. But picked up the book. It's being made with his wife, June. Cool. They finished it and released it recently. Oh, yeah, wow. So I've actually mentioned June Newton's book that I have that I'd definitely recommend to you guys. It's called It's called Alice Springs. That's her like pseudonym or alias, sorry. The Paris MEP Show. Good book. Really nice if you like portraits and that kind of old school editorial style. And kind of behind the scenes stuff of Helmut Newton doing his job as well, taking photos, doing portraits. I mean, like I've mentioned before, I'm not a huge Helmut Newton fan, but it's definitely worth knowing about his work. Fred, awesome, inspiring book from all around great current photog. Yeah, so Phil Penman, I have to check that out. I'm just going to type it into my browser so I remember it. Yeah, thanks, Fred. Always looking for good street photography books. I really want to get Susan Mycelis Nicaragua. That one looks good, and it's one I've wanted to add to my collection, but there's only ever old used copies. And Dylan got a copy of Pickpocket by Daniel Arnold. Ah, yeah, I've heard about that. Some really interesting. Is that he shoots on point and shoot cameras? Is that correct? And Scott, are you concerned with digital files looking like film or giving them their own look? I'm not too concerned with them having them look exactly like film, because I know that's not going to really happen. I probably would end up leaning towards the type of colors and contrast that I love from film, but it won't be 100%. So even if I was to edit my files a certain way or create a preset, it would definitely have a little bit of what people, could call a film look, because I'm inspired by the colors that I see when I shoot film, whether it's my favorite Kodak films on the street or the images I see in photo books of legends that shot on Kodachrome, in photo books and stuff like that. That is what I tend to edit my files to look like a little bit, but also not completely. So that will be how I'll do that. And yeah, that could be a good video that I could put on my personal channel, just how I edit my digital files, because obviously that would really not belong on this channel, but that could be something that I'll put over on my personal channel, where I could show how I edit my Fuji X100 files, for example, if anyone's interested in that, because that's something I've been slowly learning, but I want to get it right first before I share it. Fred Ranger show on YouTube. Is that what you mean, to share that on the channel, the X100 stuff? And Dylan, he shoots Leica and Contax G. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, maybe premium contacts. Just finished roll of Ectar 100. Really liked how it came out. Yeah, I love Ectar 100. In case anyone didn't know, it's my favorite film. Okay, so what else? If you have been watching the channel, you know I recently did the video on light sources for scanning film, because I was lucky enough to start chatting to the nice guys at Negative Supply. They're really cool, really chill, laid back crew from over there. And they sent me this light source for scanning film. It's not the professional grade one that they sell, but it actually is pretty well built. And it's got like this frame with a light source inside of it. So I did a video comparing this, because it has 99 CRI, which is a really accurate light output in terms of color accuracy when it's shining through your film, illuminating your film, whether it's slide, color negative, in order to give you better scans. So I compared that to some of the existing lights that I used in the past, such as this one, which I've been using for ages. It's called the Viltrox L116T, but it actually comes out under a bunch of different names, including Relino and others. And normally I have the battery in it, and it just sits flat on the battery, and I use it to scan. And what I use is the essential film holder. So I talk about this all in the video. If you want to check that out, you can. But basically, that sits there, and I have it masked off, and it shines through. So that's been serving me really well for the longest time. And I'll address more of this as we reach the Q&A part of things. But yeah, Negative Supply sent me the light source, and they also want to send me a whole bunch of other gear. So, I mean, that's one of the perks, I guess, of doing this YouTube thing, is that once you reach a certain point, you finally get like brands want to collaborate with you. And the other thing they sent me was this amazing, like, heavy, can you guys hear that? That's metal. That's like proper metal film holder called the Negative Supply 120 carrier. So really engineered, really well built. It's hinged here with this part that keeps the film flat. So it has this magnetic system that clasps down. So I've only really just started to test this out, but I need more time to actually use it to scan some film and maybe make some content talking about this, and if it's worth it, because it is really expensive. It's much more expensive than something like the essential film holder, but I think it maybe is good if you kind of can justify that, because you're scanning such a high volume. Maybe you're running a lab, maybe you're doing scans for yourself and developing for others. Yeah, I mean, I think you can justify the price if you really want to just spend the money or otherwise. But yeah, this is obviously a lot cheaper, and it has it serves the purpose perfectly well. But yeah, this could be good, I think, if you run a lab or you just scan a whole crap load of film. Because yeah, this is their higher grade version. I know they have a basic as well, and I might hopefully be reviewing some of the basic versions, which would sit a little bit close to something like this. And I've reviewed the Valoy in the past as well, so I've really started to become familiar with all these film holders and film scanning solutions, because I feel like I was a somewhat early adopter of it, and I started to get into DIY film scanning pretty early, and I was really excited for things like the EFH and the Pixelator and all these little devices, and Negative Lab Pro. When that came out, I was really into that. So yeah, that was another new addition, that stuff from Negative Supply. And Being Wolfie asking, are you still enjoying your XZ1? I am, actually. I've been shooting it just around the house. It was Sarah's birthday recently, and I kept it in my pocket and took some shots on it. And yeah, just took some casual shots on it. I've even taken it out on the street quite a few times and used it for street photography. And the results are amazing. It's just really slow and cumbersome if you're using it on the street, for example. In terms of, if you shoot quick, that is not going to be like a Ricoh GR in terms of its speed. But the results are nicer, I think. As far as I'm concerned. I don't really care too much about the resolution, but I am still enjoying that camera. I meant to invite you to our show on YouTube, Fuji Love Conversations. Okay, I'll need to check that out, find out what it is. Are you only scanning DSLR now? Do you still use a flatbed at all? No, I sold my flatbed years ago. Is it concerning to get the DSLR set up perfect every time? It's not concerning, it's annoying, because I still use a tripod. If I had a copy stand, I could preset the height for 120, 35, whatever, and then just put the camera on, and it wouldn't take so much time setting it up. I could just leave it on this workbench I have behind me. So I will be getting a copy stand soon too, and I really want to upgrade the kit and talk more about that. But that's the one thing that I think is a little bit annoying, because you have to align the tripod and use the mirror. I just use this little flat mirror that I bought from some $2 shop, or maybe on eBay, I can't remember. But yeah, it's definitely worth it. Assuming you don't have a dedicated spot. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a dedicated spot, that would make it even harder. But like, if you have a copy stand and you just can tuck it away somewhere, it's not too bad. You just take a few minutes to set it up, because the time you save scanning an entire roll, or multiple rolls especially, it's way quicker than what a flatbed would go through if you're scanning entire rolls. You picked up the basic kit, cool. Did you get the 35mm or 120? Because I know that it's not an all-in-one type thing. You have to get each. But I guess if you only shoot one format, those basic kits look pretty good. 100%. Well, yep. Don, I've been using the Valoy mostly, but I really like the EFH too. Oh, yeah. Interesting, Don. Yeah, because I know we've been chatting a little bit about all this stuff, and you've been getting into that rabbit hole too. So I think maybe we should catch up for a chat one day and compare thoughts. Because I tried both of those, and I definitely just found the EFH easier to work with. And I think a lot of it was because I had the beta model of the Valoy, and I was just finding it easier to just get the film into the carrier, use my hands to advance it, and just have it done. But it looks like great. I think they've refined it. They fixed the beta issue with the masks, and they have fixed some issue I think they had with the little twirly thumb roller, because they had to replace some of those parts. And they added some options for diffusing and for masks and for holding, some of the popular light sources. So it kind of made it a little bit more of an all-in-one solution once they refined it. And they're really nice people. I mean, if you guys don't watch Nico's photography news and, the stuff that camera store do, it's a good product. I just still preferred the EFH in my comparison. But yeah, what I mentioned about the Valoy is similar to the Negative Supply, is that if you're probably going to do a whole high volume of film, it would be worth having that advancer. Anyway, is there a way we can determine LED CRI ourselves? Not that I know of. I think you probably could if you had the right tools, but you would need some kind of measuring, spectrometer, or some kind of color measuring device or something like that. And Yeah, I'm not too sure what device that would be or where you would get it, and it would probably be expensive, to be honest. I mean, the best thing to do is if you have multiple light sources, is just scan film using multiple. The next thing I want to do is use a flash, because a lot of people have always said using a speed light gives a really good clean color output, and obviously it's really bright, so you can use very fast shutter speeds. And funny enough, that's the next question here. So did he try a flash? I haven't yet. I did a long time ago, but it wasn't lined up properly. This was years ago. I didn't even have a film holder yet. NLP didn't even exist. It was probably 2013 or something. And I couldn't get it to work, so I think I just tried a different light source. But back then, when people were first doing really early DSLR scans, they would use a speed light. And things like, you know, the Nikon ES2 carrier. And should give you greatest results just behind trichromatic scans. Yeah. What I'm going to do, because the cool thing about the EFH is that it's flat, so it can sit sideways. So you can put it up on the desk, for example, and just have your camera on a tripod, so pointing straight at the aperture, have the speed light behind the diffuser. And if you want, like what I'm going to try and do is maybe put a snoot around the speed light and have a bright, you know, illumination from the flash. And then I could still use the mirror method to align the camera to make sure it's perfectly lined up and parallel to the film frame. So that actually should be pretty easy. And the good thing is, because this sits flat, you know, on its edge, it sits on its side, that might be one of my next experiments. And I want to see if it really is better than, let's say, like the LED lights I've been using, or maybe even the 99 CRI negative supply light. So yeah, let me know if anyone actually has tried that, if you have any tips on the distance the flash should be, whether you used a snoot or not, because obviously you don't want the light shining into the camera lens, and anything like that, because I'm going to be experimenting with that soon. So Dylan, you got both the basic carriers, you mainly use 35mm, cool. And you're still happy with the Epson for medium format? Yeah, I mean, the flatbed is good for medium format. It's just a bit slow as well, and like I still found, like compared to using Silverfast and ViewScan and Epson Scan, the colors from NLP were better. So, I mean, obviously you can use your flatbed to go through NLP, but yeah, I didn't like how slow a flatbed was to load up and to go through film. Just taking one snap and moving on is so much quicker. You've been using a PlusTech, yeah. See, it is quick, but you have to manually feed each frame. That's what I don't like about the PlusTech. I borrowed one from my friend a while back to scan some film, and I just found it too slow. I mean, you're saying it's fast, funny enough, but like, it's not when you're sitting there having to wait for each frame to scan and then advance it. I mean, if I'm thinking of the right one, because the PlusTech I used, it had like a plastic holder. You had to load 6 frames, and you had to push in each frame, wait for it to scan. So it would be good if you're maybe working on something else on your computer. But if you're sitting there manually scanning a whole roll, it would take forever. So correct me if I'm wrong, Scott. Christian, SLR setup, is a flash behind the negative going to be better than setting the negative over a light table? Well, yeah, that's what we were just discussing. So I think I've you know, come to that a little bit late. I probably need to catch up on some of these comments, speed through. Final version's good. The Veloy, yeah, cool. We should catch up soon, actually. I want to try and organize another Melbourne meetup. Any thoughts on the new scanning kit? Lomography came out. I've only just had a couple of looks. It looks cool. Kind of looks like a little Knight Rider thing. And I only just realized there's 2 versions. So I haven't really researched enough on it. I've been too busy doing this stuff that I've been doing here. So people have been asking me about it and if I will try it out. I don't know yet. They haven't reached out to me. Apparently they've sent beta units out to other YouTubers. So, and I've got a lot on my plate right now, but I'll see. I'll be interested in trying it. Setup's a bit of a hassle. Doesn't have to be horizontal. Yeah. You can probably devise a way to do it from underneath. For me, the easiest way would just be for testing purposes, just to do a comparison, I would do a just horizontal setup to start with. Abdurrahman, do you think a phone screen works substitute for the light? Yeah, it can. I've done phone screen stuff before, and there's a lot of variation. Apparently, the iPhone screen can put out a good output, but I'm still new to all that. I don't use an iPhone, so apparently there's a bunch of settings with True Tone and display stuff that you want to make sure you're using, and then using the right app to output the light, so it doesn't end up having something that messes with the white output. So you can get decent scans, and I do want to make a video in the future about scanning using, you know, your smartphone and and another, an iPad or something. Just really simple scans like that. Using the holder on its side seems easier. Yeah, it would, but then having the correct height from your tripod and then aligning it and then things tipping over and feeding the film could get a little bit tricky, maybe. But then maybe not. If you have a good sturdy setup, I think it could be just as good. And the problem is, obviously, you don't want the light shining into the camera any more than you would when using it upright. I mean, but that's no different, really. Yeah, I've never thought to do it. I should try the sideways setup. Thanks. Going to put it in a plastic basin. Yeah. That's one way. Obviously, you make some kind of hollow device. I use plastic 120 and mine is automatic. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, that's the big guy, the big 120 one. They're expensive, right? I remember actually being tempted by them back before there was only dedicated scanners as a solution, but I ended up with a flatbed. Looking at lomography, but can a phone get high enough resolution image? It can for using on Instagram and just for sharing, probably even for like, website usage, but then it won't be as good as a camera, obviously, in terms of the flatness from edge to edge and the resolution and sharpness from the macro lens. But I think, I've done it just for fun. I've snapped a negative with my phone and just inverted it in light, Snapseed or whatever. And now there's apps that do it for you. So I actually think you can get very decent results if you're only planning to share it online. And yeah, hopefully I'll do some content on that. Cool. I caught up on the chat. Yeah, if anyone is interested in some of the stuff I've mentioned already with all these film holders and all that, thanks for all the questions, by the way. I just need to check my audio every now and then because one of the last live streams it dropped out. Yeah, I mentioned the personal channel, but also I mentioned the essential film holder. If anyone is interested in that, I've got a link to that in the description. I mentioned Negative Supply. I've got a link to them in the description as well. And they have a bit of a sale going on. So it's good if you're an Aussie like me and you normally pay heaps for shipping, because they do free worldwide shipping if you spend over 200. So that's pretty good. And yeah, I'm going to move on to the next thing I got, which is pretty cool. It's this little guy that you might have seen in the thumbnail. It's a new flash. It's called the Lightpix Labs. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with this. And one of the reasons I got it is because it's wireless. And it's, I first saw on Robin's channel, on The Real Sir Robin, and he's used it for street, and he's mentioned it to me and talked about how handy it is. And I have used flash on the street in the past, and what I would normally do is just attach my little Nikon SB20. It's like a little flash about this high, similar size to this. But I would use a cord if I wanted to go off camera. And you guys might have seen my video where I shot HP5 in the rain and I was using the flash and kind of just like holding it up like that. But with this, the cool thing is you can attach it to the hot shoe of the camera and use it like a normal flash, just on camera. But it also has this wireless function where you can just take the flash head off, but the little transmitter stays on there, which is awesome, especially if you're shooting film and you get, this wireless capability. So you can have the flash ready in your pocket or in your hand. You can even attach a little, tripod socket type of wrist strap to it. Keep the flash there. You can do off-camera flash if you're shooting portraits, if you're doing street like I do, if you're just shooting around the house. And it's really cool. Yeah, it's just handy. And because I'm traveling, as mentioned, I thought this would be good to have instead of taking the SB20 because it uses AA batteries. They're rechargeable. So I don't have to take CR2s, and it works as a little video light as well. The only thing, obviously, there's no TTL, so I just wrote my own little kind of guide to the stops. And yeah, I like it. I've already gone out and used it at nighttime with the MA. I have some Kodak 500T in there. I shot some Fuji Eterna 500D. I shot another roll of 500T, so a bunch of cinema film. Some of it was at night using the tungsten gel on the flash. That's another cool thing, is you can put these little gels on them. So I'm loving this. This is really cool. And I got it on Amazon. And funny enough, now they've sold out. Even though I put a link to it, you can check it out. But I think they sold out on Amazon. But yeah, I can definitely recommend this flash if you don't mind the manual metering, which is not that hard. It's not really as hard as you might think. Yeah, so Lightpix Labs Flash Q22. I will hopefully do something about it in a video, or maybe just even a review article on my blog. But yeah, I think it's a good option if you shoot film, because I know there's some cameras apparently it doesn't work with, but as far as I know, most film cameras with a normal hot shoe, just single pin, should make it fire, because it has multiple modes that you can see here, S1, S2, and whatever. One of them is more compatible with older film cameras, and one of the other modes you'll need to switch to for digital cameras, for more modern shoes and whatever. But yeah, I really like the little gels, especially if you're going to do something like shooting tungsten and you want that balance between the ambient light and the subject. You've got yeah, like all nicely laid out controls and little lights here. It's pretty well built. I think I paid about 150 Australian dollars, which was about 78 US dollars. So it's not bad. I really like it so far, and I'm going to take it with me overseas and really get some use out of it. So that's that. That's, I think, the last of the new gear things, isn't it? Remind me if I forgot anything, but yeah. Any other questions when it comes to film scanning? Let's check it out. Scott, you can use the camera. Copy stand is made for the phone. So does Lomos, they sell that copy stand with the new digitalizer? Because I actually checked out I had the old Lomo film holders, digitalizer 35 and 120. I just didn't like them too much. They're too finicky and they were scratching my film, and the height from the flatbed wasn't really any good. And then, yeah, I think this new version looks a lot better. I'm going to actually look into it because it looks interesting. Did I use one of the newer pads? Oh, like that Amazon brand, Newer, whatever it is. Oh, newer iPads. Sorry, I misread that. No, it's kind of old. Sarah's iPad is like 2019, I think. Maybe 2018, 2019. Newer iPads are really good. Okay. Yeah, maybe it's that as well. Could be the model. They're RGB instead of white light. Okay. Kodak mobile film scanner is fun, inexpensive. Segsman, I have a snoot, speedlight, and EFH. How does that work for you? And what kind of snoot do you use? Is it just one of those flexible Velcro ones, or do you have to really make sure you mask off all the light? Because I'd be curious about that. And if you've ever shared photos of your method, let us know where we can check that out. Because yeah, I'm really curious how well a speed light would illuminate the film and how much better the results could be in terms of color conversion as well. But yeah, this new Digitalizer Max, it's hard to say, isn't it? It looks pretty cool. So it has a stand built into it for a phone. Okay. Yeah, see, I mean, this is cool if you're just really casual in terms of your film photography and you're not really too adamant on getting the best results out of your scans. Because even if you had a phone with a really good camera, it's not going to give you the best possible resolution and detail and sharpness edge to edge as a macro lens, a one-to-one macro lens. But you can get really decent, like perfectly good scans for sharing on Instagram. In which case you wouldn't really notice the difference, to be honest. Oh yeah. Yeah, it looks cool. I mean, it's got little rollers, looks like aluminium. But from what I understand, there's two versions. I think there's another version or something. Because there's one called the Plus and one called the Max. Yeah, who knows? Let's check. I mean, it's exciting. There's plenty more options these days. Here we go. And I think we're pretty spoilt for choice now. So this is so that you can just use the holder with your own tripod or whatever. I see. Yeah, I'd be keen to actually check this out someday. Ever scan badly faded old slides? I have not, but where I used to work did that as a service. Sorry, I realized I have all those. Going to try that method. As in, so you have a snooze speed light in EFH and you're going to try it too. Yeah, cool. Let me know how you go. I mean, it could be good. Gateway drug. What are we talking about? Maybe the Lomo thing? Yeah, like it could be a good gateway for youngsters to get into film photography and scanning. Excuse me. But yeah, it looks really cool. So what time is it for you guys watching from Europe? Isn't it pretty late there? I'm surprised because I was trying to do this early my time so that people in the UK, for example, could watch. But then I realized it's like almost midnight, or it is midnight there anyway. But maybe if you're an hour off the UK and you're a night owl, this is probably a normal time for you to be up. By the way, Asha, are you still in, where are you right now? Because I know you're kind of between the US and was it South America somewhere? Dylan, 11:20. Okay, that's not bad. Yeah, this Digitalizer Plus, I think, could be really good for, like, I don't want to say hipster crowd because we're all kind of hipsters, aren't we? Us film shooters, in a way. But you know what I mean? Like the younger sort of demographic that is, and not necessarily younger. Some people just shoot film purely for the, not for like the more traditional portrait level quality that you get out of, say, 120 or a really sharp lens or all that. They shoot it because of the effects, because of the light leaks, because of things like sprockets, because of the wacky colors and that fun part of it, which is why a lot of us got into it. And if that's all they're really concerned with, doing a scan with your phone is adding to that sense of kind of imperfection, because that's what film is about for a lot of people and for most people in some way. And to be honest, if you can get decent scans like this, why not? And yeah, with that max option, the fact that it includes a little stand for your phone looks pretty good. What is it, 8290? And this one's 109. That's pretty good. I mean, obviously it would have to be made from plastic, but I'm really keen to see how well this works and if it scratches film, for example, because the first digitalizer, it had metal, like metal. That's never a good idea, having metal contacting the film and magnets that snap onto the film. It's not a good idea in terms of design. But some people don't care about their negatives. Some people chuck out their negatives, which to me is like, I don't chuck out my negatives unless they're just really trash or like, you know, a bad roll or something like that was just all fogged, and I know I just definitely won't want it again, but I try and keep my negatives in case I want them sometime down the track. I try and keep good care of them as well. Hope you guys are the same. Usually end up watching these the morning after. Yeah, cool. And Midnight in Egypt. Yeah, cool, man. I actually want to come to Egypt. We're thinking about it because we're doing a trip to like Turkey and some other parts of the world around there, to the Middle East, and hopping down to North Africa could be a possibility, but we're not sure yet. Really not sure, because Egypt's amazing, and I can see in your little profile you've got the pyramids in the background. We want to see the pyramids and just check out Egypt, but not sure yet. And I know there's actually a few film shooters over there in Egypt that I've seen one of on a YouTube channel, actually. I don't know, it's probably not you, is it? No, I'm not sure. But yeah, one day. If it's not this year, it'll be sometime in the future. Any thoughts on the Sunray Box 3 scanning setup? Is that the Skya box? The Skya? I've never used it, if that's the one you're talking about. Because, I mean, back when it came out, there wasn't really much for it to compete with, but then it was a little bit pricier than some options, and what I had heard from a friend who used it was that it gets hot, it overheats. So at the time I was looking into solutions, I ended up getting the EFH because I already had an LED, for example, and I didn't really need the whole setup. So I never tried it, and I've never really thought to try it because I heard about that overheating issue and the shipping cost. It had to ship from Taiwan or something. So to me, it was just not really not good enough in terms of value for money. I don't know if it's changed now, but I've heard good things. I've seen one at a film lab. They were using it just to copy slides. It looks decent for that. You really should. Nature here is gorgeous. Yeah. One day. Yeah, guys, let me know if there's anything else. If you have any other questions about film scanning, and I guess at this point, even if it's anything, because the stream's gone on for a bit, and if there's not much else, I'll probably wrap things up soon. And yeah, I appreciate you all coming on and giving us your questions and thoughts. And if you weren't here on the stream earlier, feel free to check out the personal channel that I mentioned I started, which is linked in the description. It's just under my name, #McAdam. Look at that, I've got 30 subscribers. It's pretty cool. And Winchester, the cat, features in my first video. I talk a little bit about my background, because a lot of people watching have no idea about my background and stuff like that. And I know I don't really talk about that on Pushing Film. So this could be a cool place for me to share things that are just like really unrelated to film. And then when I do some travel and just maybe like little interviews with people not to do with photography, anything like that, who knows where it'll go. I could end up finding a niche that I'll make that about. Could be about, who knows. But yeah, check it out. Let me know what you think. And check out the other links in the description for the other stuff I talked about. He's a cat, but yeah, I am a cat person. Yep. So if you're a cat person, you need to check out the video. You can see Winchester, we call him Winchy, his nickname. He's just chilling there on the coffee table while I'm filming a video, which is really typical. He likes being around us, as a lot of cats do. They're just curious. Jackie Jang, hey man, from New Zealand, right? What's up? Just about to finish the stream actually, but yeah, we were talking about film scanning. Yeah, I'll probably wrap things up. If anyone has any other questions, you can always just drop them in the comments later. And oh, look at that, now Alex on Streets jumps on. Hey man, good morning from over in Japan. We've been chatting a little bit about film developing and scanning. And speaking of Japan, I heard that the border's going to open up. I don't know if it's still just a rumor, but people are saying that by mid-year, Japan's borders should be opening up. And if they do, I'll be sure to visit someday. If you guys aren't watching Alex on Streets, go check out his channel too, by the way. I've been shooting Minolta X700 for a few months. Curious about finding better glass. Oh yeah, there's a lot of good Minolta glass. There's a good Rockor 50mm. It's like a 1.2 or something. Amazing. And there's even a really nice 1.4, but there's multiple versions of them. So what I would say is just, there's a forum, I think it's like Minolta Rockor forums or something. Just read up about them and all the differences. There's so much information out there. And try and look at the forums and the written stuff, because I'm not sure if there's as much good information on YouTube, for example, about really digging into Minolta lenses. When I research lenses for Pentax or Minolta or like even Leica, I like to go on forums because there's really good detailed tests that people do, and you can see the actual information at your own pace, which is really good. Alex, hey man, do I shoot with any other street photographers over there? Yeah, there's like a little community that you kind of just bump into when you go out onto the streets of Melbourne. And there's other photographers that I'm friends with that I sometimes just go out shooting with. I just say, hey, you want to go shoot street? And I'll meet up with them and we'll go shoot. Even though I prefer shooting alone, as a lot of street photographers do, I don't mind if you're kind of with someone and you kind of separate as you're out shooting. But if you're side by side the whole time, I don't like that because it brings too much attention to you. And if you're walking with a group of 3 people and you're not at least kind of separating within that space that you're in, so let's say you all go to the city or to a river or whatever, it's good to kind of at least split apart, then you merge back together and you kind of chat, but you don't bring too much attention to yourselves. Because if people see a group of 3 or 4, even 2 photographers suddenly point their cameras at the same subject, it's even more intimidating and it kind of really brings attention. But I enjoy the experience. It's really fun just chilling and hanging out and talking with other photographers, street photographers. I know you do too, Alex. I've seen some of your videos shooting with Ulysses and Samuel and all that. It looks really fun. And if I come to if I come to Japan, we definitely have to shoot together. Samuel, did anyone try the digitalizer? We were just talking about that actually. I don't think anyone here has tried it. We've got rumors. Wonder when they'll be true. Yeah, we'll see. Minolta lenses, cool. Hey, it's Daniel Caridi on his girlfriend's account. Nice, man. What's up? It's good to see you at the camera market. Finally, you've caught me on a live before. Once or twice. But I know what you mean. It's not often. Thanks for all the input tonight. Yeah, no worries, man. Thanks for the questions about scanning and all that. I hope that, I helped in some way, and good luck with the journey. I think it's great. I mean, it's a good way to save money, if nothing else, to do your own scans and even your own developing if you can be bothered. Did I end up getting anything from the Box Hill market? I bought a really cheap Nikon lens and just some close-up filters for like 58mm to use with my Pentax 645. That's about it. I didn't want to spend much money, so I only spent like $10 grand total. Really have a dilemma. Sorry, I always have this dilemma. I want to hang out with my friends, but I rarely get good shots. Yeah, I think if you go out shooting with friends, you have to go out in mind with that, hey, the volume of photos I'm going to get in this street photography session might not be as good as if I'm alone and just kind of in the zone. You go into that kind of meditation state that I know I do when I'm shooting street. So I think, but there's a trade-off, and you have more fun with someone to chat to, and you can kind of get a little bit competitive in a way. So maybe it'll make the shots you do get better, because like I think as humans, we instinctively pick up on a sense of competition, even if you're not meaning to, and it kind of drives you to get better results. Not that that's what it's about, because it's all about having fun, but it's a cool byproduct. But yeah, man, it would be awesome to shoot together. And one day it'll happen. We should do it. And if you come to Australia, definitely come by Melbourne, let me know. But Japan would be cool, especially to get away from like the main parts of Tokyo and go shooting like in Osaka or like, I don't know, something different like that. I mean, but then yeah, Tokyo is probably my favorite place to do street photography so far, in saying that. Hey, Ildefonso. Congrats on a recent scanning comparison. Can't speak today. One question, can you comment about the exposure conditions using an iPad as a light source? So what I can experience with the iPad is that the screen wasn't quite bright enough at full brightness once adding the diffuser from the EFH and the height that creates. It still worked fine. I just had to make sure that everything was absolutely still and that I used a timer and the remote release. And because the shutter speed was less than a second, it was, a half second or a third of a second or something like that. However, that iPad I was using is a little bit older. I think it's 2018 or 2019, and you might be better off with a newer iPad. I'm not an expert, but I've had a few people comment on that video. So if you go to the comments and you just try and look for the iPad comments, some people mentioned Retina displays and certain iPads and all that. And apparently with the settings, you need to sort of make sure you've got the right settings, like turning off True Tone or something like that. So there's a little bit to it that I'm still trying to learn. But yeah, thanks for the question. And I hope that that makes some kind of sense. And when you say exposure conditions, I think that's what you meant. But yeah, everything else is the same. You're ultimately just using it as a light source. So you recommend Yokohama? Yeah, man. I went to Yokohama. I actually shot a bit of street there. I have some shots from my Leica M4 in Yokohama that I took at nighttime. There was this place called something warehouse. What was it called? Yeah, Anata no Warehouse, I think it was called. It was like this cool place in Yokohama, and then we shot around there and just outside of it. But it's not as busy. And plus, I went to Yokohama to buy the M4, which is there's a really cool store called Onuki Camera, and the streets of Yokohama are awesome. Like, people seem to be a little bit more laid back there compared to Tokyo, and it's a great place to shoot actually. And it's not far. You catch a train like 30 minutes to an hour or something like that. You just wish you were a photographer when you went. Yeah, Yokohama's cool. Yeah, it's kind of like little bit more laid back than Tokyo. And Alex, yeah, it can produce a ton of keepers because there's just so much. As a street photographer, you want action, you want a lot happening. And that's, people say, why are you going to the city again? But sometimes you don't have a choice. Like, I love to shoot outside of the city here in Melbourne. and I always go to some of the little busy suburb areas, but then oftentimes it's just dead and you can only go so far, whereas the city, you're almost always guaranteed something going on. Yeah, Alex, yeah, it was in Kawasaki, actually, that warehouse, but we did go to Yokohama as well, for Onuki camera and just to get some food and just hang out there for a bit. And that's not far from Kawasaki as well. I think it was on the way. One was on the way to the other. And Kawasaki's cool. Kind of looks like Final Fantasy or something when you go past those factories. Had an SBO, nice. Have I experimented with a flash on the street? Yep. We talked a little bit about that earlier. I've been using the flash on the street. I bought a new little flash. I mean, you can always probably go back and watch this video after and skip to the bit where I talk about this flash. But yeah, I even have an old video where I shot with a flash on the street using black and white film, and it was in the rain, so that was pretty cool. That was from about a month or two ago. So if you feel like checking that out. Yeah, I've been doing more of it lately. I've got 2 rolls I need to develop of cinema film. A lot of these were shot at night with a flash, with that new Lightpix flash. So I need to go and get some more C41 chemicals. Maybe today I need to go pick up some chemicals and then so I can develop a bunch of cinema film. If anyone would like to see, by the way, a video on bulk loading using one of these things for 35mm film, let me know, because I've been doing this for a long time and I've talked about it a few times. But if anyone would like to see a dedicated video on the benefits of bulk loading film, the cost differences, the calculations, how hard it is to develop, Remjet film, for example, let me know and I'll be happy to do that. But I think I will just check out this last question and wrap things up. You got a Spotmatic with 55 1.8, nice. SMC, good lens. You bought it over an AE1, yeah, good choice. I think like they're both great cameras. Spotmatics are great. I think Spotmatics are a little bit more solid from what I've experienced working in a service place where cameras would come in for repairs. I used to see a lot more AE1s come in for service, but that's probably because there's more of them. However, they were prone to certain, squeaky shutter issues and light meter issues and stuff like that because they were a little bit more electronic, especially with the program version. But Spotmatics are really solid, and yeah, it's definitely a perfectly fine choice. Nowadays, go to Sony Voigtlanders and Fuji X100. Nice. Yes, on bulk. Cool. All right. ADOX news. I haven't seen much since the color mission stuff. And thank you. Forgot mentioned greetings from Mexico Southeast. Yeah, no worries, man. Thanks for watching all the way from Mexico. Another country I'd really like to visit someday soon. And I would love to go shooting some street there too. So, all right. Stuff has been truly amazing. Thanks, man. Do I have plans for a new book? Yes, I do. I've been working on a series. I've been shooting it for a while. It's all on film. I haven't really shared any of the work from this series I've been working on. Maybe a few shots I have shared actually, but most of it is just kind of culminating now. And it's not going to be a full-on book. It'll be a zine or a mini book because I can't really afford to make a full book yet. And if I make an actual book, like a heavy-ish book, I want to be shooting it for years potentially, which I will do as well. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for the compliment. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm going to wrap things up here. This has been almost an hour, but I really appreciate that there's so many people viewing and commenting and checking everything out. I've put all the links and the information in the description of the video if you want to check any of that stuff out. And yeah, look forward to some new content, including some of this new gear that I've mentioned in this video. Plus, let me know if there's anything else that I haven't mentioned that you would like to see, something that you would really want a video on. Just message me on Instagram, or leave the comment in this video, even if you're not watching live, that you can still leave a comment. All right, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you all have a good day or night, depending where you are. And I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.